Hello, this is Robert Turenne. Today's talk is about drawing the human face and the human body. I'm saying drawing, but it could be painting also. It could be any representation of the human body. We touched it briefly in another talk when we were discussing composition and how to fit a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional piece of paper. And I was using my favorite model here and showing how to transpose that. So that's not what we're going to cover today. It's more about a very important question, lots of emails, lots of questions that I get about how do you make a face? And by extension, how do you make the human body? So we'll concentrate on the face in actually two talks because it's a vast subject. There's a lot of things to answer, and we'll split it in two very easily because there's one question that you have to ask yourself when you want to draw a human head. Do you want to do a drawing of somebody in front of you, basically a portrait, or do you want to draw something that looks like a human face? Very important question because the first talk is going to be about, well, I want to make a face. And the second talk is going to be, I want to make that particular face. I want to draw that person. So first approach, let's put down some basic facts about if you want to draw something that looks like a human face, you can start like we can all draw a human face. We know that if we do this, two circles inside a big circle, a little bar, and this, we know the symbol. We know that this is a human face. We can either go farther and say, we know that this is probably a man's body and a man's head, or we can go this way and say, this is mom. That's how we learn to draw. That's how we learn to symbolize or to interpret our surrounding when we were kids. And this is basically a kid's drawing. And a lot of people struggle and they say, well, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do something that looks more human, that looks like a real eye. Okay, well, it's all about symbols. If I make this symbol, well, you know it's the letter A. It doesn't mean anything except that it's the letter A. It's just a couple of bars. It is a drawing. If I do this symbol, well, it's a dollar sign. Everybody knows that. And their symbol, as the same as this is a symbol. It doesn't look actually like my mother. Well, I don't think so. I think she looks a bit different. She was a bit rounder. And okay, so you get the idea. We're talking about symbols. And there's a method that you can use. And I have nothing against using symbols in a drawing. There's a method that you can use. And the one that I'm using, and I do that quite a bit. If I'm making quick sketches, if I need a fill-in face in a painting that I'm doing, well, I'm going to create one, invent one. And there's an excellent book that I've been using for years. And it's called Drawing the Human Head, I think, or the Head and the Figure by Jack Ham. This is no book. Most of the drawings were made probably in the 50s and early 60s. The book was published in 1963. But basically, we look the same way that we did look in 1963. Fashion made a difference. And we still look the way we looked 10,000 years ago. So it doesn't really matter. What's important about this is it shows you what's important, how to make a drawing, how to take into account different things like perspective and all that. And basically, you can fairly easily end up drawing like this. These are women's eyes that were drawn in lots of detail, and you can use these as models or actually learn the method on how to make an eye. And it's quite simple. Like it's explained in details on the page here on the right side. And how is it done? Well, very quickly. To make an eye, you do something like this, and that's an eye. Then you add the iris, draw the pupil, add some eyelashes if you want to, and then you can add some more detail. That's an eye. This one looks more cartoony, but what we're talking about here, they talk about in this book, is about the same as making a cartoon. It's using symbols that we associate with the human face to make drawings of the human face. The guy in the book, this guy is really good and he makes incredible faces, incredible details, but it's all stuff that you can use from memory and you can create any face you want. So I think you're starting to get the idea here is that if you want to create something, well, you can use methods. There's other books too. I have other books in my bookcase, dozens of them that go into a lot of detail. How do you draw the fingers? How do you draw the skin, the hair? It's all been done before. It's all been well explained in many books. And if you want to spend the time and practice enough, you'll be able to make incredible drawings of the human face, the human body, using symbols and tricks. Nothing wrong with it. A lot of people make a very decent living using that method. If you're trying to make a portrait, you'll see how different it is, because then you're not using symbols. You're actually reproducing what's in front of you. Big difference. It applies to everything in drawing and painting, especially when we try to draw or paint a portrait, because we know the human face so well that we know where the nose is supposed to be and all that, and we're extremely brilliant and good at recognizing people just based on a few features. We'll talk about it and actually talk about part of it in the second talk about how do you start to make a drawing of a face of a person that's in front of you. What's important? What do you have to pay attention to? So, see you soon. Till then, bye.